Watching South Africa Tonight here on eNCA channel 403. Now, the man accused of setting fire to Parliament has admitted to the act. Zandile Mafe has been behind bars for over a year and a half and has been undergoing psychiatric evaluation. He was not under oath when he made his confession. He has been accused of terrorism and arson, among other charges. His defense team has requested extra time to get an independent psychiatrist to confirm or deny a finding that he has a mental illness, which makes him unable to understand the extent and implications of the crimes he's accused of. For more on this, I am joined by Barry Viljoen. He's a forensic psychologist who can tell us how the courts determine if someone's mentally fit to stand trial. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it, Barry. Let's just start off what you make and made of Zandile Mafe's outburst in court this week. Many would say it was very unexpected, but also that has been boiling under for some time because he has seemed rather irritated and frustrated with this whole court process.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Yeah, I definitely think, you know, as you said, there's been a lot of people who have said that he has been frustrated according to the news, and I think that was very clear at the point. In the court. And like you said, we've heard from what the specialist psychiatric hospitals had to say, and now we're going to hear, because obviously he has the right to contest, so he might be sent for another evaluation.
Okay, given what we've seen so far, not just with the outburst this week, what can we make of Zandile Mafe's mental state at this point?
Look, I think it's difficult to say what his mental state is off the bat from one incident. So I think, you know, the reality is when you get sent for a psychiatric evaluation, you are sent for a minimum of 30 days. And then he's going to be seen then by nursing staff throughout, by specialist psychiatrists, psychologists, occupational therapists, social workers, and the like. Over the 30-day period, then you're going to see, as opposed to an isolated incident, what his mental state is like on a continuous basis.
But what do we make of that? Yes, sorry, continue.
I don't know, I'm saying I think it gives a lot more insight that on certain days, one of us might be quite agitated and we might behave out of character, but over 30 days, it's a continuous aspect.
Certainly, especially because he has been in prison for over a year and a half, and this matter has been taking rather long. You know, given what he said in his outburst this week, I mean, his legal team was really trying to do damage control by saying, you know, we're trying to assess what's actually going on here. But he admitted to burning down Parliament. What should the courts make of something like that, even though he didn't say that under oath?
So, sure, he didn't say that under oath, and I think we need to keep in mind the fact of what has been said. So, under the Criminal Procedure Act of 1977, Section 77, 78, and 79, where a person is sent for psychiatric evaluation, and then there's the comment about his current mental state, which is his fitness to stand trial, and then at the time of the offence, which is responsibility on both legs, one where it's awareness of what he's doing, and the other is acting in accordance with that. So the reality is what's being stated, according to the report, as we've been told in the media, is the fact that he's deemed not fit and not responsible. So even though he's made those kinds of claims at this point, it wouldn't go further in terms of, unless they were to overturn it and have somebody else saying that he was in a sound state to stand trial. The court case would come to an end and he would most likely be, I suppose also depending on what the court decides, made what we call a state patient.
Barry, I want to speak about some of the other things that he said during his outburst. I mean, he attacked the Democratic Alliance. He also spoke about load shedding and service delivery. He even went as far as speaking about the number of hours that we have been subjected to without electricity. And many were asking themselves, where does that fit into all of this? As a forensic psychologist, what can you tell us about his state of mind, given what he said about those elements?
So look, it does become quite difficult because the reality is I haven't actually met him and I haven't assessed him and spent time with him. So legally, you can't actually make too many comments. Although I think what's important to highlight is that some people I've seen in social media have agreed and felt quite strongly and resonated with certain aspects of his frustrations. But I think what's important to keep in mind is the fact that just because someone has or says certain things that are in keeping with our mind and our thoughts doesn't necessarily mean that they're well. And I think that's the aspect that, you know, there's certain things that were potentially alluding to mental illness there as well. And I think we need to keep that in mind. And like Fort England has said in their report, they've seen him for over a 30-day period. So while there might be certain views that other people might hold or resonate with, we need to keep in mind the fact that they are stating that he's not fit currently and was most likely unwell at the time of the alleged offence.
Just lastly, Barry, how important is it for the courts to fast-track this whole process? It's been a year and a half later. We haven't seen much progress. We keep being told that they are waiting for a bed, they're waiting for his assessment. Given what we've just seen now with this outburst, how important is it for the courts to really ascertain what exactly is going on and for there to be an assessment done on Zandile Mafe?
No, I think exactly like you've highlighted. The fact is, I think this is a challenge we see quite often, and it's one that's well noted in literature, it's well noted in the media in the past as well, is that unfortunately the demand for these assessments is quite high, so one does have to wait for the bed, and it is limited specialist facilities that will do these kinds of assessments. So ideally, you want it done as quickly as possible with a smaller gap between the alleged offence and the assessment, but the reality is that the wheels of justice turn quite slowly, and also in this, the aspect is, should one person move ahead of the queue of other people who are possibly equally vulnerable, if not more so?